episode 44, part 3 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the 3 Quarters podcast. Remember to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan, support the Kenya Simbas as they're still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 in Japan. And as we are all about supporting sports and sports travel, we've partnered with Moran Sports and Travel to give you this brilliant offer for the Dubai Sevens on the 1st and 2nd of December. So for only $999, you get to experience your desert safari, your nighttime barbecue, and your Dow cruise. This and much more coming up on your screen.
This is your official noisemaker, Jerungus Kenyana.
So we start off with football with just jump in.
Football with the World Cup qualifiers. Going on World Cup qualifiers, just to top up from what we were talking about last week. So the new teams, of course, that have qualified in Europe, there's France, there's Iceland, and there's Serbia. Iceland, of course, were very big at Euro 2016 with their club, Thunder Club. So it's going to be good to watch them at the World Cup. We have North Central America and the Caribbean. Costa Rica, Mexico, and Panama. The US, it'll be good to talk about the fact that they at Fox Sports had bought rights to televise the World Cup. But then the US have failed to qualify. South America, we have Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, and Uruguay having been the ones qualified. So I think it's starting to shape up, and we should know, as we said last week, by the time we're getting to about November, we should be able to know who the 32 teams that are going to be at the World Cup.
Yeah, it's shocking. Okay, Argentina, we were really skeptical about them last week when we talked about them. Messi got to a different zone. Yeah, got them through at the expense of Chile, though. We will be seeing likes of Alexis Sanchez at the World Cup. In Africa, see, it's only Egypt and Nigeria that have qualified thus far. We're still waiting on other guys. Cameroon looks like they won't be there. Yeah, so it's let's know in November. But come November, we'll have a good idea of how the World Cup will be. Yeah.
Okay, now moving on to the Premier League wrap up after week 8.
Yep, club football. That was international football. Club football. The biggest game of the weekend was the North England derby between Liverpool and Manchester United. That ended 0-0 at Anfield. We had Manchester City hammer Stoke 7-2. A very good performance by Raheem Sterling, David Silva, and all those guys. Tottenham Hotspurs beating Bournemouth 1-0. Watford beating Arsenal 2-1, and Crystal Palace beating Chelsea 2-1. Standard performance, as we said, is Manchester City. We go to week 9, and we have Chelsea taking on Watford, which is going to be a London derby. We have Manchester City taking on Burnley. We have Huddersfield taking on Manchester United. We have Everton taking on Arsenal at Goodison Park. Which reminds me of the last time Wayne Rooney was playing for Everton. He actually scored against Arsenal. He was a wonder kid at 16 years. And then we have what I think is going to be the game of the weekend, which is Tottenham Hotspurs versus Liverpool. It's going to be played at the Wembley Stadium. Of course, White Hart Lane has been closed down for this season. So taking into account what's been happening so far in the Premier League, I expect, say for Arsenal, but I expect the other big teams to come out victorious against their opponents. Spurs, Liverpool, I think Spurs are going to win.
That took over be a tough game, though. I don't think it'll be an easy. I don't think a walkover for Tottenham. It's going to be really tough. And as we had talked about earlier on when we talked about the Premier League, you could see now Manchester United have been tested, but against Liverpool, not much to write home about. So let's wait and see when they come up against the likes of Tottenham, Chelsea as well. But Chelsea are really going down. The form is really dipping. So Arsenal, as usual.
Yep. Anyway.
All right, now moving away from football, what names do you think stood out for you in the nominees for the World Athlete of the Year?
Of course, the Kenyan people. For the males, Elijah Manangoi. For the females, Helen Obiri with a stunning 5,000 meter performance. But the other names for the guys, of course, Mo Farah and Wade Van Niekerk. For the women, I'd say Alamaz Ayana, the world record holder at 10,000 meter, and Caster Semenya. I'm playing it all African for the women.
I can see.
I'm playing it all close to for the women. So those are the names that stood out for me.
I agree with you, Elijah Manangoi, 1,500 meters champion. Helen Obiri, she's been unbeaten at 5,000. She's been very impressive, had a very good Diamond League. Mo Farah, of course, we expected him. And what I'm trying to understand is how these guys are going to vote. What is the IAAF family? I've never understood that. There's the council, then there's the family, and then the funds, 50%, 25%.
I mean, the council is the guys who run IAAF. You normally see, like, for example, what's his name? He's just left. Kipchoge Keino. Yes, he used to sit on the council for a very long time. Then you have the IAAF family. I guess it's a broader family because they're guys who don't sit on the council as is. And then you have the fans who's, I guess, us who vote for it. The name to note, by the way, that hasn't been there is Justin Gatlin. A 100-meter champion from London has not been shortlisted. Yes. But anyway.
Wow. So that Bolt wasn't there. So.
Yeah, but anyway, that's that.
All right, so for our bonus topic, 2 events that happened. One last year, one this year. So last year was Colin Kaepernick, and this year was Seth DeValve. And they knelt down with their teammates, well, Seth DeValve did, in support of racial injustices. And the question is, what role do you think sports play, like in a nation, on social issues like this?
Play a very vital role in the sense that the players, especially, these guys are role models. Think of how guys would speak highly of, like, so let's say Jordan. We even had a hairstyle called Jordan. You can tell how these guys influence a lot of what goes on in our daily lives. So these guys have a lot of power in the sense that when they would speak on an issue, it would kind of represent what a lot of people are thinking. Then you can influence a lot by speaking out. A case in point, let's say corruption in a union, let's use rugby for an example. The union, when there was some issue with the players and the allowances and everything, when they spoke out, I know they were biting the hand that feeds them, and they ended up, some of them being dropped from the squad because of this and that, which was a bit wrong. But they made up their point known, and I think now they're having it better. It's better off. It's being run in a better way. I remember I wasn't born, yes, 1968 Summer Olympics when Tommy Smith and John Carlos raised their fists and in support of Black Power, the Black Power salute. And it was a very good showing because at that time the racism in the States was quite big and transcending to the world as well. It was quite a good statement, a big statement for guys to know. So they are a brand, and we need to sell it in a very positive way that will grow our social lives.
I'll put it in like 2 parts, historical, then I bring it to current. I think about some of the names, for example, Magic Johnson, 1991 HIV, announcing that he had HIV. It didn't really impact the black community in terms of the prevalence of HIV until the passing on of gangster rapper Eazy-E, but at least it was some showing in terms of Magic Johnson coming out and saying that he had HIV and he can contract this. The next person I think about is used to play for the Chicago Bulls. He was a 3-point, he was a sharpshooter called Craig Hodges. Craig Hodges was very vocal in terms of black people rights. And when they won, I think either the 91 or the 92 World Championships, they were invited to the White House by George H.W. Bush, who was the president then. He delivered a letter to George H.W. Bush telling him about civil rights and black people. Unfortunately for Craig Hodges, he was banned from the NBA, and he ended up losing a suit shortly thereafter. I think 96. He lost a suit that he had sued against he had sued the NBA. I think about come to Africa. I think about Springboks in 1995 and one nation, one game, one nation. The slogan in terms of trying to bring the Rainbow Nation together. You remember the Springboks were the team that was associated with apartheid a lot. And when Nelson Mandela came in and said that, look, okay, fine, South Africa is hosting the World Cup and Springboks are going to be the symbol for South Africa, then everyone rallied behind the Springboks, and we saw what happened. And for those who don't know, you can watch Invictus and you'll know what happened. Come to football, I think about Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand was very vocal about racism in the early 2000s, and of late he's been very vocal about cancer awareness because he lost his wife to cancer. I think about Thierry Henry. And he'll excuse my language here, but I think in 2005 or 2006, the person who was coaching Spain was a guy called Luis Aragonés. He died. Luis Aragonés, one of Henry's partners at Arsenal was Jose Antonio Reyes. And Aragonés was caught on camera saying, you need to show people why you're better than that black piece of shit. right? So Thierry Henry came out very loud about it and championing guys and sensitizing guys about racism in football and in Europe. And it was good. I mean, recently we've seen LeBron James come out in the NBA. What he does is that as Ngusa said, these sports personalities are celebrities, and because sports is a culture, sports is a part of way of life for each and every country. Therefore, when these players come out and speak about some of these issues, it's likely that these people are going to follow up, and the general public is going to follow up in terms of what these people are saying. For example, I'd like to see some of the sports people come out and talk about the political climate right now in Kenya and try to address some of these issues and say, look, when you come watch a game at Queens, when you go watch a game at Nyayo Stadium, it's never about these political divides. We have all gone to support Kenya or whatever team we support. So yeah, sports does play an integral part in a nation's social issues, and I think it's time more sports people start addressing such issues.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely agree with both of you. So guys, I'd love to see you next week. This is all we have time for today. Remember, you can like our page on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Dumina Duffield.
This is Nyashi, official noisemaker.
Jerry Luz Kenyana.
See you next week in episode 45. I think I looked at